Hello, YouTube divers. This is Water Dive 122, and I want to welcome you all to another episode of Magic Metal Mondays. Today, we're going to be counting down the 11 studio albums from Swedish Power Metal Legends, Icons, Titans, whatever you want to call it, Sabaton. So, Sabaton is a very popular band within the power metal community. They are one of the more unique bands in the genre. They are all about history. They are history buffs, history nerds, whatever you want to call it. They love to sing about war and major historical events and battles. And this type of concept's really no stranger to power metal, but except where most power metal bands will sing about battles in like fantasy lands and whatnot on dragons and stuff. Sabaton are the real deal. There is like a lot of historical events presented in their music and in their lyrics that really happened. A lot of it is based on the two world wars, because them being from Sweden, the two world wars were pretty significant in Europe. But yeah, anywho, they are mainly led by their lead vocalist, Joachim Broden, who is one of the best vocalists in the genre. He has a very super unique voice. He kind of reminds me a lot of Rolf Kasprick of Running Wild, where it's like super low pitched, raspy, but it fits perfectly for this type of music. He sounds like a heavy metal drill sergeant. That's how good his voice is, in my opinion. Super powerful and boomy. And the rest of the band are all equally fantastic. They're all great musicians and great songwriters, too. This is a very collaborative band. Joachim mainly writes most of the music, but occasionally you'll have music written by their bass player or some of their guitar players. It's really just an ensemble type band. But yeah, we got 11 studio albums to rank, so let's not waste any more time. So coming in at number 11 is the 2007 album Metalizer. So this album has a really interesting history to it. This was originally recorded back in 2002 before the band released what would be their debut album, Primo Victoria, but their label at the time withheld all those recordings from Metalizer, and 5 years later they finally released it. And especially coming off of the two previous albums, Primo Victoria and Etero Dominatus, both albums basically just with the classic Sabaton theme of like wars and history and stuff. Metalizer is a very different album. There's not a lot of tracks that dabble around in that war and history and battles type of lyricism and themes that Sabaton will do on literally every single other of their albums. And it's definitely a record that you could definitely tell that this band made before they decided to be all like pro history and singing about war and stuff. But there are a few songs on this album that do kind of dabble into the historical events. One example being the track Burn Your Crosses, which is about the Spanish Inquisition, told from the perspective of a victim of that. And then another example would be 7734. But the rest of the tracks don't really dabble in with that historical stuff. The title track "Metalizer" was the very first song from Sabaton I've ever heard, and I like it, as corny as it may be. "Masters of the World" is fun. "Hail to the King" is fun. "Speeder" has a really good chorus. "Hellrider" is pretty cool. "Thunder Gods" is fantastic. And then my favorite song on the record has to go to "Endless Nights." Definitely like the best non-history related song Sabaton has written. And even though Metalizer is my least favorite Sabaton album, it is far from being a terrible album. And spoiler alert, this band has no bad albums whatsoever. So this ranking is going to be really, really hard. So yeah, from here on out, from this next album onwards, we're going to get in some really good stuff. So with that said, Metalizer comes in here at number 11. Number 10, we've got their most recent album, 2025's Legends. So this album came out last year. I was not aware of that because I wasn't listening to Sabaton last year. Or at least not to the extent that I am now. But Legends, I mean, coming off of the 3 previous albums, which were all fantastic, Legends just kind of feels like a step back a little bit in terms of like songwriting and lyricism. Like with the previous 3 albums, I felt like the band really reached their stride and their peak in lyricism and songwriting. But with Legends, I don't really know. But I mean, if you like Sabaton, I think you will definitely like this album. It's got basically everything you could ever want in a Sabaton album. History, wars, banging riffs, bombastic keyboards and synths, and high energy throughout. There's a lot of ancient civilization history throughout here. Like, for example, you have Hordes of Khan, about Genghis Khan. And my favorite song on the album, The Cycle of Songs, which takes place in ancient Egypt. It's about an Egyptian pharaoh named Senusret III. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But then you have other great songs like Till Seeger, which is sung in their native language of Swedish. Lightning at the Gates is a cool song. I, Emperor is fantastic. Tiger Among the Dragons is awesome. Made of Steel, a good song about Joan of Arc, legendary French female soldier back in the day. And The Duelist as well. I mean, that song is awesome. But yeah, overall, Legends, it's a cool album. Like, straight up. It's a cool album. If you're a Sabaton fan, you'll definitely like it. All right, so with that said, Legends comes in here at number 10. Number 9, we're going to be bouncing back to their debut album, 2005's Primo Victoria. This may be a little bit controversial to some Sabaton fans. I mean, it contains one of their biggest hits ever, the title track, Primo Victoria, that's an awesome song. It's my favorite song on the album. And this song is about D-Day through the perspective of the Allies. And, of course, this would not be a Sabaton ranking without doing a little bit of history, a little bit of having some history lessons here. So with my favorite song on each album, I'll be doing a little bit of a history lesson, or at least a sum up of that song. But yeah, that's what Primo Victoria is. It's a Latin for victory first, so there's that. But other standouts on this record, you have Metal Machine, Into the Fire, Stalingrad, Reign of Terror, Counter-Strike, and Purple Heart. Purple Heart in particular is another phenomenal track. Definitely a song that you would definitely see Sabaton explore, basically dabble around with on later records. But yeah, overall, Primo Victoria, it's an awesome album. It's here at number 9. What? All right, so Primo Victoria comes in here at number 9. Number 8, we've got the 2014 album Heroes. So this one's a little bit of a different album compared to most other Sabaton albums, where most Sabaton albums will be just talking about like specific wars and battles. But this album mainly talks about individual people and war heroes, famous people who have fought in famous battles. And it contains 2, maybe 3 of their biggest hits, with To Hell and Back and Night Witches, and possibly Resist and Bite. To Hell and Back in particular is a really fun song, especially live. Inmate 4859 is pretty cool. Hearts of Iron is awesome. Soldier of Three Armies is really fun. No Bullets Fly is a phenomenal track. But then my favorite song on the album has to go to the Ballad of Bull. This ballad, because it's a ballad, it talks about Corporal Leslie Bull Allen, who was an Australian soldier who fought in the Papua New Guinea campaign of World War II, and he effectively saved 12 American soldiers who were wounded in that campaign, earning himself a Silver Star. And the song itself is just stunning. Sabaton don't do a lot of ballads, but without a doubt, Ballad of Bull is the best ballad they have ever done. It is not even close. But yeah, overall, Heroes, pretty good album. Comes in here at number 8. Now, number 7, we're going to be jumping back to the earlier days. We've got their sophomore studio album, Atero Dominatus, from 2006. So, this album, by the way, happy 20th birthday this year. This album is where really all the magic starts. Primo Victoria gave us a little bit of a sneak peek as to the amazingness that Sabaton would do, and that would Sabaton would become rather. But Atero Dominatus really, and I mean really, embraces the war hero history shtick that Sabaton would do for pretty much the rest of the career outside of Metalizer. But yeah, this album is awesome. I mean, I don't have a lot of negative complaints to say about it, really. My favorite tracks on this album, you got Angels Calling, Light in the Black, which is a phenomenal track. Back in Control is really cool. We Burn is a fantastic song that I wish was longer. The title track is super memorable and fun. Rise of Evil, the only like really long epic song they've done. It's not even that long. It's like 8.5 minutes long, but that's a great song. Nuclear Attack is really heavy and fun. And then my favorite song on the album has to go to In the Name of God, which is about religious terrorism through the perspective of the people who are opposed to that, which hopefully was the general public, but you never know. But yeah, In the Name of God has one of the best riffs the band has ever delivered. It is so bad to the bone. I love this song so much. And I love the album, Atero Dominatus. It's fantastic, but it's here at number 7. Oh boy. So next up at number 6, we've got the 2022 album, War to End All Wars. So this album continues the concept and the concept-ish of the previous album, The Great War. It's more World War I stories. But unlike The Great War, I feel like War to End All Wars kind of tackles the World War I timeline a little bit better. All the events and the songs are a little bit more chronologically in order. But in my opinion, that is kind of sacrificed the songwriting is kind of sacrificed. It's not as well written of a record as The Great War. Spoiler alert. But War to End All Wars is still a great album with so many awesome songs. Tracks like The Valley of Death, Stormtroopers, The Unkillable Soldier, which look into that story. That is such an awesome story with The Unkillable Soldier. Race to the Sea is really good. Hellfighters is heavy as I'll get out. Lady of the Dark has an awesome chorus. And then my favorite song on the record has to go to Christmas Truce. If you want to consider this song a ballad, then yes, this is the best ballad ever. But I personally consider it more on the power ballad-esque. I think Ballad of Bull is a little bit more closer to a ballad than this. But the piano work in Christmas Truce is just stunning. Like, no BS. It is just stunning all the way through. And this song is about the Christmas Truce of 1914, the first year of World War I, where all the soldiers on Christmas Eve, or on Christmas Day, somewhere around there, from what I've heard anyway, they signed a temporary truce to just not fight on Christmas. So I think that was really cool. But yeah, overall, War to End All Wars, fantastic album. But it's not even in the top 5. What is going on? So we move on to number 5. We've got the 2016 album, The Last Stand. You could call this album another concept album, but its concept is very loose. But it does have an overarching theme. All the songs are about a battle's like last stand, if you will. The title track is one of their biggest hits ever. I know on YouTube it has over 38 million views, which is insane. And it's a song, and it's a staple of theirs. They constantly play it live. The Last Battle's really good. Winged Hussars is really cool. Rorke's Drift, Blood of Bannockburn, which is a really important battle in Scottish history. where the Scottish army held off the English for a while. Sparta, taking place all the way back during the Spartan era, which is amazing. Last Dying Breath is a fantastic song, but my favorite song on the record has to go to Shiroyama. This is another one of the very first Sabaton songs I've ever heard, and it's about the Battle of Shiroyama, where unfortunately a group of rebelling samurais led by Sego Takamori were annihilated at the hands of the Imperial Japanese Army in 1877. So there's that. But yeah, that song, masterpiece, one of my favorite Sabaton songs. Last Stand, masterpiece of an album, comes in here number 5. So next up at number 4 is Coat of Arms from 2010. Yeah, this album has some stunning songs, just bad to the bone songs all across the board. The title track, Wehrmacht, The White Death, which again has another fantastic story. Metal Ripper, The Final Solution, probably the only song they've done about the Holocaust. Aces in Exile, Uprising, and then my favorite song on the album has to go to Midway. This song is about, well, the Battle of Midway, which was a key turning point in the Pacific theater of World War II in favor of the Allies. Like, this was the turning point. This was the point in the war, in that theater, where the Allies started gaining ground on Japan. And, the rest is history. But yeah, Midway, phenomenal track. Love it. Coat of Arms, another masterpiece, comes in here at number 4. Number 3, we've got the 2012 album, Careless Rex. So Careless Rex is arguably the band's first true concept album. It's about the rise and fall of the Swedish Empire. And this record, in a way, is kind of similar to Opeth's Encauda Venenum, where you have an English version and a Swedish version. And of course, I listen to the English version. Careless Rex. This is the band's most commercially successful album, and definitely a very popular record in their catalog, and it's easy to see why. This album is just jam-packed with bangers. The title track, Killing Ground, Poltava, A Lifetime of War, 1648, and then the Holy Trinity on this album, The Carolian's Prayer, Long Live the King, and The Lion of the North, the latter of which is my favorite track. It's a song about, the Lion of the North himself, Gustavus Adolphus. So, yeah, there's that story. I mean, it's a story about him. Just listen to the song. It's fantastic. One of Sabaton's best. But yeah, overall, Careless Rex, flawless album, comes in here number 3. So number 2 and number 1, I went back and forth over numerous times, but I think for right now, this is what I have. So number 2 is The Art of War from 2008. Another very popular album from the band. And this is really kind of their breakthrough album. A lot of their standout tracks are on this record. The title track, Art of War, Ghost Division, which is just one of the greatest power metal songs of all time, not even close. Talvisoda, Panzerkampf, Unbreakable, The Cliffs of Gallipoli, and then my favorite song on the record has to go to 40-1. This song is about one of the very first battles fought in World War II, the Battle of Wisna, between Germany and Poland. And this song is a masterpiece. I adore this song from start to finish. It's just another one of Sabaton's best songs. What more do you want me to say? But yeah, overall, The Art of War, masterpiece of an album. I could see why a lot of Sabaton fans love it. And so now we have finally reached it. Number 1, process of elimination. If you're a Sabaton fan, then you know what album is left, and that is the 2019 album, The Great War. Yeah, this album is just, without a doubt, one of the best power metal records to come out from the last decade. It's my personal favorite album to come out from the last decade, and I'm sure it's up there with a lot of people. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me on that. Um, this was a huge album for the band, and it's easy to see why. Every single track on this album is just written and performed and produced at an extremely high level. It's their best sounding album, their best performed album, their best written album, their best lyricized album, the best album. Um, the best vocal performance from Joachim Broden. Um, this album just has it all, and it has a great concept too. This album is a concept about the atrocities and the horrors of World War One. And while the only complaint that I have about this album is that the songs that the stories are not in chronological order, and and in my opinion, if you're going to tell like a historical set of stories, I would think you'd want to have for a concept album anyway. You'd want to have them in you would want to have the events and the songs in chronological order, but the songs are so unbelievably well written that I just don't care. Um, all the tracks are amazing, so let's track by track it. So you got The Future of Warfare, Seven Pillars of Wisdom, 82nd All the Way. What a way to start off the album with 3 straight banger songs. Attack of the Dead Men has probably my favorite dual guitar solo from Sabaton, and it's just one of the darkest power metal songs I've ever heard, ever. Devil Dogs and The Red Baron, another one of the very first Sabaton songs I've ever heard. The Red Baron is just a masterpiece. I love this song. The title track, Great War, has such an infectious chorus. A Ghost in the Trenches is really, really good as well. The End of the War to End All Wars has some beautiful piano work in the beginning, and then the rest of the song just pays off so wonderfully. I kind of wish this was a long, epic song, not gonna lie. In Flanders Field, which is the closing track, and it's kind of a cappella, sung by a choir. It is so gorgeous. And then my favorite song on the album and my favorite Sabaton song overall, Fields of Verdun. This was like the one Sabaton song that before diving into their discography, I absolutely loved. I have loved this song for a long time. It is my favorite Sabaton song. It probably will remain my favorite Sabaton song for a while. This song is also about the Battle of Verdun, which was the longest battle in World War One, and it was primarily fought between France and Germany. And after such a long battle, the French, who was on the side of the Allies, came out on top. And it was a big win for the Allies, as far as I'm concerned. But, yeah, overall, The Great War, masterpiece of an album, one of the best power metal records from the last decade and possibly of all time. I adore it. So with that said, that concludes this edition of Magic Metal Mondays. Thank you so much for watching, my fellow YouTube divers. This is WaterDive122 signing out, ready to dive in more fun on YouTube. Thank you for watching.